Chapter 1 Missing November 5th, 2012. Seiko Kuriyama awoke with a start, her heart thumping wildly, almost as if her heart had taken over her entire body. Its pounding emanated outwards, causing her breasts to twitch with its surging pulsation. This is how you decide to start your book? Like, I don't know if it's just me. When I'm in a bookstore, kind of like looking around for new books I might want to read, I read the description on the back, and then I maybe start reading it at first. And let me tell you something, if I'm greeted by this first paragraph, like, it wasn't that bad. Like, it's probably very important that her heart is beating wildly and that she can feel it in her entire body. But if you're gonna start your book by bringing her boobs into it for no reason, I'm gonna put that book down no matter how much the description on the back sounded good to me. Just what are you doing? Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. Today we're back on Men Writing Women because why not? We like to suffer and we're gonna do it together, I guess. But anyways, before we continue, y'all gotta get hydrated. So grab some water or some tea, whatever else you like to drink, and then we'll continue. In the meantime, also feel free to like and subscribe. Do you have your drink? Okay, let's see what amazing things we'll find. Grapes of Wrath. I love your Steinbeck, but this was a lot. Her round, soft face, which had been voluptuous and inviting a few months ago, had already put on the barrier of pregnancy, the self-sufficient smile, the knowing perfection look, and her plump body, full soft breasts and stomach, hard hips and buttocks that had swung so freely and provocatively as to inviting slapping and stroking. Her whole body had become demure and serious. Connie, her 19-year-old husband who had married a plump, passionate hoyden, was still frightened and bewildered at the change in her, for there was no more catfights in bed, biting and scratching with muffled giggles and final tears. If you as a husband get your wife pregnant because you wanted a child together, you can't be mad that pregnancy changes the way her body looks or changes how she acts, because if you're not aware that there's a lot of hormonal changes during pregnancy, what are you doing creating a baby in the first place? Like, of course it's gonna change her, and of course being a mother is gonna change her, and of course she might not be as carefree or as like energetic enough for the fun time you used to have. Like, you know, things change when you get older and when you become a parent or when you're pregnant. Like, why are you over here complaining about it? And also, was it really necessary to describe her body's changes in such detail when you probably have never been around a pregnant woman enough before to actually know? Like, was it really necessary? Because I feel like the answer is no, it wasn't. And that kind of goes for a lot of these posts. SM Sterling T2, The Future War from 2003. As for what they wanted, she already knew that. They wanted to stomp her flat and take her stuff. "It'd be polite to show us your face," a woman said. She was a well-built Amazon, probably topped out at 6 feet, and her arm rippled with muscle. It had been so long since she'd bathed that her skin glistened with her own natural grease. Her hair was a matted rat's nest that might have once been blonde. It was fortunate that the weather was cold, otherwise the smell would be unimaginable. Dear God, Sarah thought, discouraged. Help, I'd fallen into a bad biker movie and I can't get out. Mel Gibson, where are you when we need you? It makes for a vivid description, I'll give you that. Like, it gives a very clear picture. And at least you didn't mention her boobs for no reason, so, by far not the worst one, but still kind of strange, and I can't really put my finger on why. It seems kind of strange, but it wasn't a I'm gonna sexualize every woman character in my book for no reason kind of strange. But still, I knew I wasn't the only one with sentient hair that reacts to my emotions. This girl's my problem, I said. Sam's hands were big and warm and solid around mine. His hair was falling across his forehead like it always does when he's worried. Yes, don't you know, this is why I bust my hair off, because it kept reacting weirdly and expressing my emotions so clearly to everyone around me, so I wanted to be more mysterious and not have people know what my emotions are, so I shaved it off. Isn't that why everyone does it? You know, what are you talking about? I thought everyone was aware of this.
Oni smiled and stuck her hand out for him to take. When he did, he kissed the outside of it and flashed her a smile that would get even the gayest bitch's panties wet. You do not understand how being a lesbian works, do you? First of all, if you're greeting someone you're meeting for the first time, what are you doing randomly kissing their hands? Like, even in cultures where it's like normal to greet your friends and people you know with like a kiss on the cheek or something, you still don't go around kissing random like people you're meeting for the first time, like on the hands or on the cheeks or whatever. Why? First of all, that's really weird. And second of all, again, that's not how being a lesbian works. You're not gonna like get your panties wet if a man smiles at you as a lesbian. That's not how this works at all. And you insinuating it is incredibly telling about you, really, and also just gross. How do we explain to pygmies that men actually love their wives? Do men wake up and think, wow, I just wish I would have some more quality time with my woman today? No, haha, be real. They want sex, silence, and a sandwich. Sure, there are gonna be men like this. I'm not even gonna lie. There are men that are gonna be like this, who literally don't want anything from their girlfriends or wives, other than like food, like being catered to, like having someone clean their apartment or wash their laundry and offer their body to them. You know, like, sure. But just because there are men like that doesn't mean that all men are like that. Is it too many men that are like that? Probably. Probably, because why are you in a relationship when you don't value the other person as a person? That seems strange, but still, like, if your partner doesn't want to spend time with you, that's not a good sign, you know, because that's not how relationships work. Like, a relationship should be based on like mutual respect and like love spending time together. Doesn't mean you have to spend every minute together, obviously, but like love spending time together and like supporting each other and caring about each other. But people like to ignore that apparently, and it's pretty strange to me. It really is. About this ebook, from USA Today bestselling author Jennifer Suchovic comes a steamy enemies to lovers, forced proximity, new adult sport romance that is a laugh out loud funny, featuring a strong heroine and the cocky football player who falls first and hard for her. Mia Stanbury is the quintessential girl next door, smart, beautiful, and determined. She's got it all going on. Is it any wonder that she's been on my radar for as long as I can remember? We're talking middle school, folks. Fine, I'll admit that I've made a few boneheaded mistakes as far as she's concerned, but what can I say? I'm a dude. Sometimes I think with the wrong head. We'll just chalk it up to one of the hazards of having a Y chromosome and leave it at that.
Ah yes, that damn Y chromosome. Is it convenient to just blame it on your genetics and just be like, no, but I'm a man, so I had no choice other to act like this. Like, it's not my fault. It's not because I couldn't have known better. I'm a man. I have a Y chromosome. I couldn't have acted any different. That is the stupidest thing. Just because you're a man or you're a woman doesn't mean you are destined to act a certain way or to like certain things. Like, why are you trying to put yourself and other people in tiny little boxes and just be like, well, no, I'm a man, so is it convenient that you can just like blame all your shortcomings on the fact that you have a Y chromosome? Is that it? He was a stranger, and for the first time, she was in a situation in which she had no control, and it was all her own doing. You're ripe, like a hothouse peach, he murmured. Okay, I never thought I'd find one myself, but it happened. I'm currently sorting through the collection of my grandmother's old romance books. The kind you read in the bath and such. Lots of cheesy, lots of sexy, lots of words. Overall, for almost all. Well, I took a little peek at Suddenly You by Lisa Kleypas, because I'm a curious fella and I hadn't read it yet, and I found this gem of a nonsense sentence shown here. I mean, there might be some people who know what you're trying to get at with this sentence. I am not one of those people. But again, it's fairly harmless as at least compared to some of the other posts we found here. As I wait outside her apartment, I remind myself that I'm here to do a job, to protect my woman. I'm not here to bring my fantasy to life. My manhood is getting hard already, though I already drained the goddamn pipes an hour ago, but I feel hungry for her. The door opens, whining on the hinges. I almost grab her when I see her nipples poking through a pink pajama shirt. Her hair is messy around her shoulders, giving her a wild, sexy look. My fingers twitch, willing my hands to reach up and play with her nipples and make her moan for me. Bro. Context. This character is a 42-year-old mafiosi. Female character is a 19-year-old waitress. They met the day this scene happened, and this isn't the first paragraph like this. I am less than a quarter
of the way through this book. Do I want to know which book it is? Probably not, because at least for me, I personally don't really enjoy reading books about mafia, so I'm probably never going to come across this book and be like, I should read this, and then find out it's this book. I'm so sorry I can't tell you which book this is, in case you don't want to read it, or in case you want to read it for shits and giggles.
You might just be able to find it if you type this text into Google, though. But anyways, there's such a thing as an okay age difference. This being twice her age, especially since she's literally only 19, is not something I would describe as an okay age distance. And second of all, again, why are you sexualizing her? You're there to protect this woman who you literally just met. And I think we talked about this in the incel video. Being sexually attracted to someone is all well and fine. Sexualizing someone and just boiling this person down to, oh, they're sexy and I want to make her moan for me, is kind of crossing the line by just a bit, And then someone went through the actual trouble every time breasts are mentioned in The Stand by Stephen King, who, by the way, is also already kind of notorious on the subreddit. You be the judge every time breasts are mentioned in The Stand. The oral hygienist came in wearing a pink nylon half-slip and nothing else. "Hi, Larry," she said. She was short, pretty in a vague Sandra Dee sort of way, and her breasts pointed at him perkily without a sign of sag. What's that supposed to mean? She planted her hands on her hips, the greasy spatula sticking out of one of those closed fists like a steel flower. Her breast jiggled fetchingly. Perkily? Fetchingly? What? He felt a horrible and thankfully transient urge to bend down and touch the dead woman's breasts, to see if they were hard or flaccid. Why exactly? Nick put his hands timidly against the side of her neck, then her inner wrists, then between her breasts. There was nothing. She was dead. He gropes two corpses, apparently. I mean, I get if you're checking to see if she's alive, but is the boob touch necessary? He remembered an instant of disgust when he saw how her breasts sagged and how the blue veins were prominent. It made him think of his mother's varicose veins. But he had forgotten all about that when her legs came up and her thighs pressed against his hips with such amazing strength. No words. Frick, this book is over 1,200 pages long. His sweat was coursing down her body in rivers, darkening her blouse and molding it to her breasts. Do you really think this is necessary, Harold? The answer is no, it is not. She puts a hand on his arm, and the swell of her breasts almost touched his arm. She leaned a little closer, and her breasts brushed him. He began to feel very warm. What the hell, he thought uneasily, she's only a kid. Okay, this sounds like it was written by ChatGPT. He puts his hands out, perhaps meaning to take her by the shoulders, but he found her breasts instead. That was the end of any resistance he might have had. Coherent thought left his mind as well. He lowered her to the floor and had her. The context is that this is supposed to be romantic. Yeah. Hi y'all, Julie trolled and ran down the street toward Tom, her breasts bouncing sweetly under her tight midi top. Tom's goggle had been big to begin with, now it grew bigger still. Oh my god, this is more work than I thought. She had been very conscious of her breasts as sexual things, full and ripe, standing out from her chest. This one apparently left this person speechless enough to not provide a comment. Then she broke from him and moved away, her face pale, her arms strapped across her breasts, hands cupping elbows, head lowered. Okay then. She passed a hand down from her neck to her thighs. The dressing gown she wore was silk and she was naked underneath. Her hand passed smoothly over her breasts and then, instead of continuing on flat and straight to the mild rise of her pubic, her hand traced an arc of belly, following a curve that had not been this pronounced even 2 weeks ago. Is she pregnant? What is going on? Anyways, his hands were on her breasts and she was not minding. In fact, she was twisting and squirming around to allow his hands free access. He did not caress her. In his frantic need, what he did was plunder her. Plunder. Like a freaking pirate. How romantic. She shrugged, and the movement made her breasts sway prettily. Ah yes, because every time a woman shrugs, her breasts have to sway. Most of her hair was gone, her breasts were gone, her mouth hung unhinged. Because the most important thing to talk about when describing a skeleton are the breasts. Dana Jurgens lay naked in the huge double bed, listening to the steady hiss of water coming from the shower, and looked up at her reflection in the big circular ceiling mirror, which was the exact shape and size of the bed it reflected. She thought that the female body always looked best when it's flat on its back, stretched out. The tummy put flat, the breasts naturally upright without the vertical drag of gravity to pull them down. Excuse me, what? Has King even seen a breast before? Like, honestly, breasts don't do that. She folded her arms below her breasts. Okay, this is getting annoying. Why not just she folded her arms? Okay, to answer your questions, he writes women as though they're a pair of boobs with legs attached. Literally. First of all, I'm not saying I would be better at it, but if you're a worldwide, known author, how are you this incapable of describing something in an actual romantic way? How are you not capable of writing women as just fully fledged characters whose personality doesn't consist of their breasts moving every time they do, or their breasts perking up happily when they get excited about something? How? If you write fanfiction as a teenager and you're this incapable of describing women and describe boobs in a really strange way like this, okay, but you're an adult. You're an author. You've been an author for a while, but you still haven't learned that women are people and describe them like a normal person. I'm speechless. I'm so sorry you actually went through the trouble of writing out all the scenes. Ouch. I'm glad you did, because it's painful. Maybe I'm not so glad you did, but it's a lot more shocking when you read all of these. You know, it's not on every page, but still, you can't, every time you describe this woman, just focus on what her breasts are doing. I mean, you can, apparently, but why are you doing this? And then I found a few posts from women writing men. Not saying these are better written, it's just kind of funnier. He was wedged in a rather uncomfortable position, testicles not known for their weight-bearing capacity. This is just, it reads like a shitpost of how women have just started to write men like men write women. You know, to just like bring their body parts in, when it really wasn't necessary. Was it necessary to bring his testicles into this? No, you could have just said he looked really uncomfortable in this position. But it's kind of funny that you're turning around like this. If you were actually serious and not doing this as a kind of poking fun at male authors not writing women well, then what are you doing? But if you're kind of doing it to get back at men not being able to write women, I kind of get it. Men Are Useless, a slightly embellished account of women's relationships with men. I married beneath me. All women do. It's better to be healthy alone than sick with someone else. Sometimes it takes balls to be a woman. Man serves the interests of no creature except themselves. A man who lacks reliability is utterly useless. I wonder if men and women really suit each other. Maybe they should live next door and visit now and then. Sometimes you've gotta kiss a few frogs. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Like, some of these are just funny. Because, again, like, these things that are being said are definitely true about some men. And then you can just, like, see it. Because I immediately thought of a couple of men who just like listening to themselves talk way too much and who never get to the point. And then nothing ever really happens, but they just keep talking about things and act like they know what's going on. You know, those kind of men. Which, by the way, is a way more common trait in men, actually. Like, men like going around saying, oh, women talk too much, but actually, that hasn't really been my experience. But anyways, like, some of these are really just funny. Romance 101, a girl's guide to boys. I think it says a smart girl's guide to boys. Conversation starters, things to say when you're staring at a boy trying to think of what to say. I wish they teach us more about Vikings. Okay, time to text a random person I'm trying to meet. I wish they teach us more about Vikings. Oh, what the fuck. And this person commented with, well, as a male, I do like Vikings. This is so silly. Like, obviously, this kind of works better if you're, like, actually still in school. But what do you... I still don't get this. I still don't get why people are so upset about, oh no, we gotta, like, split it. We gotta split it. Girls only like these things, and boys only like those things, and girls and boys only like each other. And then as a girl, of course, you have no idea what boys are thinking, as if you're not both humans. No, we gotta split it. As a girl, you have no idea what's going on in a boy's head, so we gotta make a book about it. With conversation starters. To be fair, I'd be intrigued if someone texts me like, well, I wish I knew more about Vikings. I'd be intrigued, really, but that's not because I'm a guy. That's just because it's kind of a funny, random thing to text someone, you know? Pause and Prejudice, Alana Martin. They maneuvered the second of two bookcases into the room to the right of her staircase, and Kelsey let go and stretched her muscles. Ian averted his gaze because lugging furniture around had done nothing to subdue his body's reaction to her. Quite the opposite. With his testosterone flowing from the exercise, watching Kelsey was sure to be a bad idea. Does this count? Because this is just describing men how men are describing themselves, really. Because, you know, in these books, all these male characters are just constantly focused on how sexy the woman is and oh, her body curves and her boobs and describing themselves as super horny. So really, you just turned around and did the same thing, which is kind of funny, but also it doesn't seem less strange to me if you do it as a woman, actually. But at least you didn't describe her boobs, you just described him as horny, which still kind of tracks, I guess. I created an account as soon as I saw this paragraph just so I can post it on the subreddit. The book's name is Gothicana. Are you scared? Mr. Deverell asked, not moving from a spot at all. Should I be? She asked, raising her eyebrows slightly. even as a part of her wanted to break the eye contact and blush furiously at the singular masculine attention from a very masculine male. Again, this reads like a shitpost. This reads like you're making fun of male authors who just very clearly write this fantasy of, oh, I'm gonna like view myself as this main character, and he's a very masculine male, and he's the most masculine male to ever male, and he's so masked and he wouldn't be feminine at all, and all the women love him, and he's like, everyone finds him sexy, and all the women throw themselves at him. It's giving very that. But since you're a woman, I can only really see it as you trying to make fun of authors like this. I really hope that's the case, at least, you know, but that's the thing I can see it as right now. Anyways, I'm gonna lose my mind. As a child, I think I kind of wanted to become an author, really. At least I loved reading as a child, and I loved writing stories. But at least I didn't describe people that weirdly. I mean, I was a child, but still, I think if I would have become an author, I would be writing people, and not like boobs on legs. So there's that. You know, if I ever decide to become an author, you won't be catching my paragraphs on these subreddits, I guess is all I'm saying. But anyways, I'm gonna go finish my iced coffee. Because these people, I was too mad at these people to drink my coffee, so it's getting warm. I need more ice cubes. But anyways, I hope you're hydrated too. I hope you enjoy it. I hope if you're an author, you write people more well-rounded, I guess, than this. Anyways, hope you hydrated, and I'll see you in my next video in a few days.